Hi everyone, my name is David Marriott and I'm the principal of a friendly, progressive and dynamic international school in the warm heart of Africa, Malawi. I'd like to welcome you to Talks on Ed, your podcast that explores the new and exciting challenges that face education in these changing times. If you are at all interested in education, log in, listen and contribute where you can. And if you've liked what you've heard over the course of the podcast, do like and share at the end. Let's dive in. And joining me in the studio today, we have Nicola Cave, who is the Key Stage leader for Key Stage 2, and also a class teacher in Year 4. So today we're going to explore a little bit about what the classroom, what the establishment of an online or an e-learning platform actually means to class teachers. So welcome, Nicola.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today. So the first question I sort of had for you, I've got a couple of questions down here that we'll talk through. But the first question I had was, obviously with the pandemic coming on and everything, it became obvious that we'd have to put something together which would resemble some sort of e-learning. What did you imagine this to look like?
I had absolutely no idea. So we had some training about it because we thought we would have time ready to roll it out and play with it and get the children used to it. But in actual fact, we didn't. It was training one day, 2 days later, e-learning platform was released. So it was a bit of a steep learning curve. I didn't know how the children were going to react. I didn't really know what it would look like. I didn't know what it was going to look like from a children's point of view. So we just had to play with it and have a go. So we thought, can we replicate what we do in the classroom? Is it going to be the same thing that happens in the classroom at school, then happening on a platform? And the answer is no. Totally different. The way it's evolved, it's not replica school from school. It's still giving the children all the same school experiences, but not now you've got to sit down and do this, now you do this, now you do this. It's totally evolved.
Okay, so I mean, I hear quite a lot of optimism in your tone. So I think probably from the start, it might be reasonable to assume that you were quite optimistic. Of course, the challenge came along.
I think everyone in the team was very optimistic that it was going to be great, but we didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And whether or not you had the skills to be making videos, like learning how to take things from online, use them within your classroom. The only way you can approach it is with optimism. Otherwise, you kind of stood in front of no children and making videos, and it can be really dull. You've got to be enthusiastic about it. And what was really good is our team shared good practice and said, oh, hang on, this is how you could do it, or have you tried doing it like this? Learning how, we did everything on Google, so learning how to use a Google form. My first day I was so proud. I set up my register and I was like, brilliant, got all the children answering. When the register came back, I didn't know which child had answered anything because I hadn't done the settings right. And that was something that you learn and then adapt to and make it work. So now I know which children are online and which aren't.
So I'm going to unpick that a little bit. Tell me, I want you to go back in your mind to those first couple of days. Tell me about the first couple of days, or maybe the first week.
The first week.
There must have been some pretty good moments, but also some pretty low moments.
Yeah, the first week was utter chaos, because in the classroom you can do work with children, you get immediate responses and you get responses all at the same time, and the children build on what each other's saying. This is 28 children responding, most of them asking similar questions or for clarification, but they're not hearing each other's questions and then being able to share. Because in the classroom, the children share what they know with each other, and it's peer-to-peer learning as well, whereas this is, they're on their own, they're with their parents who may have a very different style of learning. So it was absolute chaos for the first day, and then I thought, I can't do it like this, it's not working for me. How can I make it work for me and make it work for my children? At the beginning, we all had a similar sort of plan, so we would all send morning videos, registers, have different activities. Then we moved to, okay, everyone needs to upload everything in one go so that the whole school was looking the same. But as you know, in a real school, physical school, the classrooms are different. The way teachers teach are different, and the way children react to the teachers are different. So we had to adapt that and make sure that it worked for us and for our children. So then it became less chaotic, much more organised, and just much more fluid in the way that the children were learning.
And that's kind of where you're at now, isn't it? I mean, there are a couple of things that I know that have come up out of this whole learning curve that the teachers have gone through. One of them is that the skill level of teachers has varied considerably. And as leader of the key stage, how have you dealt with that?
So
I'm talking about the initial.
Yeah, so I'm not very, very tech savvy myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can use like computer programs and things like that, and you kind of pick things up and go with it. So I was learning lots of techniques myself, but then you've got people in the key stage who have higher levels of skill and maybe need a bit of help to boost their skill levels. And the way I dealt with it, as I said, my door or my virtual door is always open so that any questions, any queries, and then can we share good ideas? And that's kind of how we've all upskilled ourselves. We've got the first part of you're saving in a classroom, but then it's in a drive, and where is it? And people can't find documents, and it's like tips, and people have been sharing their good tips of good practice. So if you save it like this, if you create folders, one of the teachers said, before you upload anything to your classroom, put it in your Google Drive and save it in a folder and upload from there. Otherwise, you just have everything everywhere. It's like your class desk, which has your computer on. Then imagine all resources, all bits of work, children's ideas, everything just all over the place. Yeah. So I think going back to, this is how we can organise it. And then from there, learning different things with Google Forms and how to make it work for the job that you want it to do. Using videos, editing videos. We're getting so much more technically skilled and confident as well in the way that you do it.
And I think it's fair to say that the teachers' skill levels have gone up remarkably over the course of time. Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed on your classroom is that you have quite a lot of video material that you've put up with yourself in it. Now, how do you feel about that, and how has that developed, if you like?
So I know that for my kids, they need to see me to keep that relationship going, to keep them on track. However, I hate having my photo taken, being on videos. So for me, I was like, okay, I've got to do it. And then at the start, it was so awkward. I would do the selfie video, and then I would quickly make sure it made sense and just send it so that the children can have it. Now, however, I've kind of relaxed into it a little bit more because it's almost like the norm of what you've got to do and what I like to do for the children. So it feels much more natural now than it did. Initially, I hated it. And speaking to other colleagues, they also feel similar, that they don't particularly like it, but they've got over that embarrassment factor. Yes, every day we stand in front of a class of 28 children and teach them, and we don't really mind at all what we look like or how we're doing it, because we know that we are engaging with the children and it's fun. And if you do something daft, then the children pick it up and we have a laugh about it. But when you're just in front of a camera making video, it is a little bit awkward to start off with. But now it's kind of it's the new norm, and it's fine. I don't mind it so much.
Have you found, just as a matter of interest, other teachers in your key stage, have you found that they've shied away from doing video material, or that they've started to take on doing a bit more?
No, most people do the videos, but they also do recordings of the screens with them talking through PowerPoints or presentations. So it's not just the same, I'm standing in my garden or a different place in school doing a video, trying to mix it up and make it different. I know that one person had a playing card in the background whenever he was doing a video to make it a bit interesting, to see if anyone spotted it. I was doing a can you work out where I am at the moment, just to get that engagement in. And I know that the shorter the videos are, the more the children like it, because it doesn't take up as much data and it's quick to the point. They get to see us, and they really enjoy doing the video chats as well. So on Hangouts, I had a child the other day who was on for an hour and a half because he missed his friends so much. He wouldn't leave. But it's that like face to face without it being really face to face, and they do appreciate it, and it makes a massive difference to the children. They're so excited when they see you.
In fact, I think probably for a lot of the people watching this, the key really to making a successful e-learning platform is the contact.
Absolutely.
It's not the platform necessarily, it's actually about the contact with their teachers and friends.
Yeah, and I think as well at the beginning I was okay, here is an appointment, this is when you can come online, this is when I want to speak to you, you've got your 15-minute slot. Obviously there's flexibility if they can't do it for some other reason, but that's kind of gone out the window in my classroom now, and it's if you need me for any time for a quick chat or clarification on anything, then we can switch the link on and they can get that contact that they need as soon as possible. And it started off with just being me and the child doing a one-to-one. Now it's evolved to doing group meetings or whole class video calls, which they just love. It's a skill for them to be able to listen to each other and take turns, but it definitely is so much better and engaging for them than the one-to-ones just doing one-to-ones.
So that's quite an interesting point actually, because I know that was one of the guidelines was given out in the first place, that we need to make sure that we have that 15-minute one-to-one contact. But I think another key, I don't know what you feel about this, another key to things is how teachers have been able to adapt to their classrooms.
And I think it's that freedom to be able to adapt, because there's the trust that we know that our teachers are doing well and they're providing good material, the children are engaged and our engagement levels show that, but it's that trust that we have in our colleagues that they are going to keep the momentum going, which I think is good.
I think it's very important actually. Okay, so we've come through this 7 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever of e-learning or blended learning really. And we talked earlier about how the skill levels of the teachers have really gone up. What do you feel are key skills that teachers will need in the future as inevitably blended learning starts to take more of a foothold globally?
So I think firstly you need to have basic skills in computing to be able to do it. But above all, I think you need to have the flexibility, the adaptability, and enthusiasm that even if it is scary and daunting, the prospect of teaching children when you don't have the class in front of you, that you will give it a go. Yeah. And I think that's the most important, because the children are learning, we're learning, you can learn new skills, but you've got to have the want to be able to do it. Yeah. And I think that's, above all, the most important skill you need.
Adaptability. Yeah. It's the new word of the new future, I think. Okay, one last question. What is a big takeaway for you from this whole experience?
Well, I think that's a hard one. I think the fact that although it's a difficult time, no matter what happens, we know that we can do it. And we can still make a difference, even if we're not seeing the children every day. The biggest takeaway for me is that the children still want to learn. They're still coming into the classroom, even if it's a virtual classroom, and they're still learning. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Thanks very much, Nicola.
Thank you.
Great interview, or great discussion, really. And thank you very much for watching this podcast. If you've enjoyed the content, please like and share. We'll see you next time.